Yeah, can you repeat
Next
that?
sloka,
Can you repeat the question? Yeah.
Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, what he is telling, karma does not give the knowledge. And next sloka, he says, karma without attachment. And karma you do like a yajna, you will attain the supreme moksha.
Correct.
And easy contradicting, or practically, I am a surgeon. When I am doing the karma, my karma, I am doing the surgery. When I do the surgery and I keep doing the surgery, I gain the knowledge, skill. And do the same surgery with the dedication and put my heart into that. I cannot expect the positive or negative result. It happens good. How it is applies to our life? Is it right analysis, what I'm trying to do, or what I'm trying to analyze?
Yeah. So there are 2 or 3 things here in your question, and in your case, becoming a better surgeon happens by doing surgeries, being responsible, learning more, and doing more surgeries. Same surgeries repeat again and again. Then that person is an accomplished surgeon, and the person is considered an expert in the field. All that happens. Okay, we appreciate that. So even there, even there, even there, when I say that knowledge of the treatment of the surgery and what it does, what the surgery can do to the person, and all the side effects that are possible, all that is knowledge, correct? There is a body of knowledge which is so vast that you are beginning to learn little by little. Every day you learn a little, every surgeon learns a little. And side effects, no surgeon knows all the side effects. They only see the side effects, they get reported in journals or reported, say they see in their patients, then they talk about side effects. These are the possibilities. And no surgeon can say, I know everything about this process or procedure or this field. No surgeon can say that. Why no surgeon can say that? Because knowledge is like that, it's vast. We can only gain bits and pieces periodically, correct? But knowledge is
Yes.
always there. Knowledge is always there. It is just that it is not there in my mind. It is not there in any surgeon's mind yet. And until it happens, no, you can't even say what it is. You can only say, oh, this surgery, this hip replacement surgery has come a long way. And every other person you see, they have this knee replacement. And they're doing it as though they're going to the store and buying some aspirin. And that's how common it has become. So how, so that, but the knowledge of knee replacement always was ready for anybody to know. Nothing stops anybody from knowing the entire science completely, correct? But the limitation of the mind is being such that you have to allow the time to happen, and you have to allow the work to go and the effort to be put in, correct?
Yes.
So therefore, here also, does action produce knowledge? If I ask you a serious question, does action produce knowledge? Tell me.
Practice makes the perfect.
Practice makes perfect.
Yes.
For that person, practice makes perfect. And you know very well, there is no such thing as perfection. You know very well that there is really no such thing as perfection, correct? Nobody can say, I am the perfect surgeon. I am a better surgeon than somebody else, you can say, but there is no such thing as perfect surgery. Even the greatest surgeon can make a mistake.
Yes.
Okay. So we all know very well this perfection is betterment. That's all we mean. But the knowledge of surgery, who creates that? Ramesh ji, you tell me that.
But the skill you acquire by doing the my
Right.
karma surgery,
Right.
that
So,
fine tuning the
so we acquire the knowledge of surgery. That is one way to say it. What did we say last class? We say the knowledge of surgery always is there. It cannot be created. What happened is my ignorance of that knowledge has been removed. I was ignorant of that particular science, that particular aspect of the surgery. I was ignorant, and now I'm not ignorant anymore. Correct?
Yes, yes.
That we say. And it's for in Vedanta, that's an important distinction. That's a very important distinction, that knowledge is not created. It appears as though knowledge is being created, right? It appears as though sun is rising. If you tell the child that sun does not rise, the child will be confused. Correct? Child is rises. Sun rises in the east. And it takes many years before we appreciate that sun really doesn't rise. Correct?
Yes.
Same thing here also. Knowledge is not created. That is why this patenting and all, it doesn't fit in our culture. We need it. We all need to patent. All these things are important. I'm not denying all that. But knowledge is not created. Our rishis have understood that very well. That's why they don't even give their names to the mantras. And so it's so amazing it is. But anyway, that's a subject we all need to think it over. And I don't want to put it to rest in one discussion. So I hope that helps. And so what we are saying there is, action cannot produce knowledge, because knowledge always is. We just said knowledge always is. Therefore, how can action produce result? Then what does action do? All my practice, is it a waste or what? No, it is not a waste. That is what makes you know that ignorance about what is to be known is being scraped away by that practice. Correct? Being scraped away. That is why.
Wonderful.
That is why somebody can become a good surgeon when they are 25. Somebody even at 65, they are still struggling. Why? If everybody can practice, everybody goes to the same training school and everybody goes to the same university, why there are different? Well, differences are there. Body, physically, so many people are different. Mental capacity is different, everything. But the scraping process takes different forms. But the knowledge is same. Knowledge is always there. Okay.
Thank you. Wonderful analysis. Thank you. So very nice.
For example, if I want to get knowledge, I have to read a book. I cannot get knowledge without doing an action, right? So I think for material world, you need to do action to get the knowledge, but it's probably doesn't apply in the spiritual world. Is there a difference, or am I getting it wrong?
So that's why I said earlier, a lot of actions need to be done. And going to the library, opening the book, everything is an action. Buying books and poring over it all night long, all that are actions only. But does the action produce the knowledge? Or
so knowledge is there. I agree to the point that 100% knowledge is there. You have to become a medium. For example, knowledge is there all the time. All you're doing this training and whatever you're doing, you are becoming for that knowledge to pass through you. That's all you're doing. For example, somebody sees a chest X-ray, it doesn't make sense to them, but it makes sense to me because I have fine-tuned my knowledge and intellect to kind of receive that knowledge. So all I'm doing is a medium. But to be a medium, I have to work hard. I have to kind of get those skills. I have to practice. I have to kind of give my time, dedication, everything for that to become a medium. So knowledge is, I understand the concept that knowledge is definitely not created by us. But all we are doing, we have to do the karma to become a medium so that it flows through us.
Therefore, karyam karma samachara. That's what Krishna is saying. Karyam karma samachara. You got to do whatever is to be done.
So action doesn't produce knowledge, but you're saying action will help you kind of become a medium or something like,
to use your own words, to become a medium for the knowledge to be available to you, you have to do the action.
Okay. So Jaykumarji, what I'm interpreting a little differently. What I'm understanding, which may or may not be correct, is that the knowledge resides in us. And when we do certain action, for example, picking up a book, reading it, what we do is discover that knowledge that's already in us because we are a part of Ishvara. we are Ishvara? I mean, is that correct? As far as, because
Yeah.
that's a little different from thinking of us as a medium. With the knowledge is already in us, but when we do different actions or when we have certain experiences, we discover that knowledge.
Yeah, so we discussed this last time, a couple of classes ago, and we
Yeah.
said knowledge has to rest on a conscious being or in a conscious being. Okay, for knowledge to be available, it must be on a conscious being. It can't be in an unconscious being. So that consciousness, the knowledge always rests in consciousness. We said that. And we also said knowledge is always potentially available. Knowledge is always available for anybody to tap into. Okay, and and so it is very different from the mainstream thinking, right? Mainstream thinking is knowledge is created, knowledge is produced. But we are saying, hey, the same antibiotic would have worked 200 years ago. Azithromycin was produced now, but it would have worked 200 years ago if somebody could have produced. Why? Because the knowledge, the same knowledge was available. All along it was available. All along it was available. It is just that those days that human mind had not developed to an extent where we could tap into that knowledge. Tapping into that knowledge is readily available, like the ocean, water. Water is readily available. Can I tap that water? That's the vision here. That's the vision. Therefore, if we accept that statement that knowledge is already available, then we can say knowledge is not produced. We say ignorance is removed, but knowledge is not produced. In my mind, I have ignorance. Ignorance is removed, but knowledge is not produced. Okay. Then we talk about the relationship between action and knowledge. And since knowledge always is, nothing can produce knowledge. No amount of action can produce knowledge. Action need not produce knowledge. Okay, because knowledge always is there. Then what is needed? Well, ignorance has to be removed. For that, all the actions that we do creates circumstances for that ignorance to go away. Yeah, different.
Is it
So,
like
Yes,
putting
what-
like an action? Through action, we can acquire the knowledge. We cannot produce the knowledge, but we can acquire the knowledge.
gain the knowledge.
Yeah, you can define your own words. You can use acquire, you can do whatever, but understand the basic here. You are not producing knowledge.
Yeah.
Even though the person can get Nobel Prize, okay, fine, we are happy with that. That person deserves it, etc. We have no problem with that. But that person did not produce the knowledge. An honest, a true scientist will say something happened and I was just in the right place at the right time and it worked out. That's all. A true scientist will say that. And he or she will not give full credit to himself. He or she will say that I stood on the shoulders of so many giants. Somebody said that. Who said that? Newton or somebody or whatever. What did he say?
Newton is the one who.
I am standing on the shoulders of so many giants. That is why I look tall, but really I am not tall. That's what that person will say. Correct? Because so much is there. And then we rely on so much before we can take one more step up. So,
Another example, Jayakumar, is if you look at the last 10, 15 years in the US, a lot of shale oil production. Whereas the oil always existed. Always, the technology was already there. But not all parts were in place to extract that oil. So oil is not, we are not producing oil. Oil is already there. We are only bringing it out to the earth.
very good example.
I mean, shale technology is not new. It's been there 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But now the technology, in the sense, the mechanism of drilling, mechanism of extracting that oil is now matured, that we are realizing the benefit.
True. That's a good example. It's always there. Something is always there. The potential was there. And
So
only
reading
now,
the book, as Mohini ji said, reading the book doesn't increase my knowledge, but it removes my ignorance.
yeah.
May I just
So some
clarify
people,
one point, Guruji?
To,
so some
to
people
create a-
choose to do a medical book to become a doctor. Somebody reads an engineering book to become an engineer. Something like that.
Think about it.
Overall,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something to think about. Yeah, definitely. Hema, go ahead. Narayan will come to you.
May I just clarify? I'm not sure whether this is right. Like you said, everything is done with a prasada buddhi. And when you are even getting that knowledge, isn't that ordained on you by the Lord because you are bound to receive it, or it is a time for you to gain that knowledge which is going to take you up higher or is going to prove you a better worker in whatever field you are?
So the question is,
I don't agree to the fact that we go and seek up that knowledge or we go and read a book because we realize that we've got to be more skilled. So I just want you to clarify whether it is ordained, maybe a karma or whatever, prarabdham or whatever. Do we get that direction when we surrender?
yeah. So when you say, do we get the direction, means if you are thinking somebody is going to come in your dream and then tell you exactly what you should do next, or to elevate you to a different status, that's a different area altogether, correct? So, but surrender, when you say, we are talking about surrendering to this order, surrendering to this vision, that everything really is a manifestation of Ishvara. And knowledge always is, everything is knowledge. Every time I look at a leaf, there's so much knowledge involved. And so I'm only tapping little bit like a beggar, I'm getting 10 rupees, 1 rupee, 10 rupees a day. Little bit I'm tapping. Each of us is tapping into Saraswati Devi's vast knowledge. We are tapping a little bit. So now what we are saying is this. In any field, when we want to get better, we want to, learn, get better, practice, get better. And then often we also, the relationships are there. A teacher is there. A teacher has to relate to students and let that relationship improve. It is not simply subject matter, right? There is whole chemistry of classroom is there. And let that improve. Let me be a better human being. So many things are involved. So much prayer is involved in all of that. And so, that was one part of your question. The other part is it all ordained? I don't know what, I forget what word you used. Is it all?
I feel it's not a personal effort. It just comes like a blessing where you are directed to go in search of that knowledge, or you are getting that direction to go and improve your skill. Even that requires the grace of the Lord.
Kataima, very, very true, very true. So that's why prayer is so important. Put me in a situation where I can help myself. Put me in a situation where I can help others. These are the only two things. Either you can help yourself or you can help others. These are the only two possibilities. And both cases, prayer is needed. And you never know what tomorrow is going to come, bring. And so, yeah, that attitude goes.
Question, Jaykumarji. Even if you have prayer, you have to have your self-effort. You cannot do it by, for example, the shloka, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha. You can't just say Yogeshwara, Yogeshwara, gather 70 people and say somebody will cook and feed them. You still have, there has to be a Partha next to him who is going to do the action, who's going to do the karma, who's going to do the action. I mean, like, you cannot just say, yeah, blessing me and, things will happen. You have to do the karma. You have to work hard. You have to pursue what you need to pursue. I don't think that it applies just like, it is ordained. And if everything was ordained and prarabdha karma, people would just keep quiet. Why do you need free will and self-effort?
Yeah. So answer to that question is yes. There is nowhere Krishna says that I will
Yeah.
take care of you, you don't do anything. He doesn't say that. So action is needed. What I meant is that we cannot use fatalism here. There is no fatalism at all. There is no destiny and all that. Karma is very much there, no doubt. But this needing to act is also part of that karma, law of karma only.
Yes, yes. I agree.
How did karma come without my acting? My actions only produce my karma. So now how can I sit here and say my karma will take care of me? I can't say that, because everything was produced by me only finally. So yeah, action is very much critical and important. And that attitude is also something that I must take the initiative to develop that attitude. Yeah. Good. Narayananji, go ahead.
So just where Mohini ji left off, I mean, the analogy what we can use is for a bird to fly, it needs two wings. One wing is prayatna, one wing is prasada.
Yeah, prayatna and prasada.
Okay. So my question is slightly on a different thing. Swasti prajapyam paripalayantam. Is it jnanena margena or nyayena margena?
Nyayena margena.
It's
Nice.
nyaya.
Justice. Because somewhere I saw a script say gnanena margena. So that's why.
No, it's nyayena margena, because Mahim Mahishaha is being said there.
Mahim Mahisha is
Mahim Mahisha, kings. So Mahim, great. Let our government, let our prime ministers, and let them use. Let them be just. That is what is being said there.
Okay.
So
So one more thing is our Nana Marga about Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is basically to reinforce removal of ignorance. Correct?
in the end, that's what it is. So it's a removal of. So it's called Ajnana Nivritti, removal of ignorance. That's what is being. That's what everything implies eventually. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Jaykumarji, Swapna here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 18, the last word. Can you help break it? I can break Kaschit Artha Ashcharya. What is that? Vyapa, how do you break it?
Yeah. So the word is Vyapashraya. The word is Vyapashraya. So this Ashraya, there is a prefix for that word called up. Then there is another prefix to it called Vi. Like Nasha, Vinasha. Like that, there is a word. Vinasha is one word which has Nasha in it, and then prefix Vi. Here there are two prefixes. Vi and then I think up and then Ashraya. So two prefixes are there. Yeah.
Thanks. Dhanyavad.
Okay, Prasad, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a comment. So to create anything, it must be there already, right? So when you talk about creation, what I'm saying is to create anything that must be existing already. So in the case of knowledge, also it has to be there for creation, and where it is has to happen is the locus where it is. Ignorance does exist. That is where this knowledge has to happen, and that is nothing but a realization of a fact which is already existing.
Correct. You use some words called locus and things like that. Very important. So where does knowledge take place? Where does ignorance reside? What is the relationship between the two, etc. So yes. So I think you're making a comment on that observation, that knowledge is, and ignorance covers the knowledge, as it were. Like the cloud is covering the sun, and when the cloud moves out, then the sun shines. So like that, we look at it.
Yeah, and then creation also. The fact is that actually I'm not creating anything. If I have to create something, it is already existing. That's our main comment about it.
Yeah, so the way to say that, correct, exactly. So I invented a device. Means what? the knowledge of how the device should function, the entire science behind it, everything I know, already know it. And then only it is manifesting as the device. And so, yeah, you're right. I think you're pointing to that. That says that knowledge already exists. And then, of course, already exists, but I discovered that knowledge, right? Even I put some effort to discover, I experimented with it so much. And they say, what is it? Newton was asked, what do you think of the 1,000 times you failed to produce a bulb or something? And he said, no, I know 1,000 ways how not to make a bulb. Like that he had said. So all that goes there. Yeah. So yeah. So it's very important for it. Knowledge is not created. Yeah.
Edison.
Excuse
Thomas
me.
Alva Edison.
Hmm.
Not
Okay.
Newton.
It is Thomas Alva Edison.
Right,
Not
right.
Newton.
Edison, not Newton. Edison. Edison was the one who was credited with the bulb. So yeah, Raghavan, go ahead.
Namaste, Guruji. Um, um, we have to do our actions without any attachment, right, to attain the Param Brahma. So, without attachment, can I do my work with dedication? Is it possible? Like without, like if I have to put a lot of time in my work, and also like I have to put a lot of effort and ensure that whatever result is there, is it perfect? I'm also trying to gain perfection. So attaining perfection with and doing work with dedication will cause attachment to my work, right? Like I may lose focus, like other things. So that attachment will actually, is it good or not? Actually, I'm trying to understand that.
Yeah. So that is why we don't use the word attachment that often. That's why we always say put attachment in quotes. Okay. And so how can I do something well if I don't have a passion for it? Okay.
Yeah.
So these questions can arise. It can create a problem, and so that's why we say, let whatever you do, is it governed by dharma, adharma, or is it governed by ragadvesha, likes and dislikes? So so first question is that. So dharma, my dharma is to earn a living. My dharma is to, protect a family, etc. All that is there. That's my dharma. Therefore, I do whatever it takes to earn a living. Correct? And then, of course, in the process of earning a living, I do work in an area that I'm trained in. And so engineer is going to do an engineering type of job, and doctor is going to do a doctor type of job. So that's fine. So that is where your own dharma means, their dharma means your own inclination, your own area of expertise comes in, and that's what I am good at. So the computer guy thinks he's very good in the area of computers, and she is very good in the area of psychology or surgery or whatever. So that is all good. So your duty is to do good in what you're doing. Look at it as a duty. If you look at it as a duty, it will free you up from a lot of anxiety. Then, okay, my duty is to get better at my job, right? And so getting better at your job need not mean that you are bound attachment, right? Bond need not mean you are bound. You that's your duty. You're doing your duty. And so you're ready to take whatever comes. You're giving your best. You're giving your best. You may not get what you want, right? You may not get salary raises like you want. Your work environment may be pretty bad, and your co-workers are constantly, they're not cooperating. All these are problems, right? So these things can happen. So all that you take as prasada, and at the same time you do what is to be done. If you have to change the job, you change the job. Correct? So these are all things we do in a deliberate way by thinking through, right? So like Mohini ji said, there your initiative is needed. Prasada buddhi is important. So you are unaffected by it. And then this Ishwararpana buddhi is needed. So you do what is to be done next. If I have to change my job, I will change my job. That is the right thing. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the way to
I think instead of attachment, we should say dedication. Dedication to the job, it will not have.
Correct. Dedication, commitment. Yeah, dedication is a good word. And so, but here, asakta, generally freedom from attached, we say attachment. So that
is not dedicated to work. It's attached to.
Yeah, so Venkataramanji, your voice is not audible. Somehow it's internet is probably breaking, I think. So your point is well taken. I think you mentioned to use the word dedication.
It's not okay.
Yeah. So we have to be careful. Here, freedom from attachment is being talked about. Freedom from saktaha, saktihi. So there, I am blessed to know what I know. I am blessed to do what I'm doing. I'm blessed to have a job. I'm blessed to get a salary, and I'm blessed that I could sit and I can do, and there are people who can appreciate my work. Everything is a blessing. That is freedom from being attached. Correct? Otherwise, I can be very frustrated very quickly. So it's a line that you have to tread, Raghavan. It's a line you have to tread. We can't just say and walk away. And I'm not saying it is easy and all that. I don't mean to say it. We have to be alert throughout the day. We have to be alert. Correct? I don't mean to give the impression that this is all karma yoga and have this attitude and everything. Our whole study of Bhagavad Gita is to get that attitude. Correct?
Correct. And I have another question. Whatever actions, there is a swadharma, right? So I am doing like taking care of my family and also doing my professional job. So I am doing, let's say I'm doing it without attachment and I'm doing my job perfectly. So will this alone is sufficient? Or like reading, even like getting this in the part of Jnana Yoga, like reading all the scriptures, this is also important? Or just doing without, if you learn just to do all our actions without attachment and with Yajna Bhava, if you do with the attitude of sacrifice, if that is alone is sufficient. Like there are two paths, that one is Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So if I don't read any scriptures and I just do my actions alone perfectly, without any expectations or any without any attachment, is that sufficient?
Yeah. So Karma Yoga gives you a calm and stable mind, and which can give you a lot of peace of mind. Correct? And it's the same situation that makes somebody very frustrated. That same situation, you're able to handle it much, much, much better. Correct? That is the result of Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga means understanding certain realities of life. Okay? Such as understanding the nature of the self, nature of Atma. Who am I? So eventually Krishna Arjuna needs to know, who am I? That question has to be answered. That is why he is talking to Krishna, saying, Shishyasteham, I am your Shishya. Please take me as your Shishya. So that study is constant. Study is going to go on. So only that study can, just like our study of physics, chemistry, biology, etc., is what made us gave that knowledge to us. So therefore, if this Mahavakya is a piece of knowledge, then what can give me that knowledge? Study only can give me that knowledge. So we look at Shastram as a pramanam which has to be operated. That operation is nothing but studying the Shastra. We allow that to happen. So periodically we are in touch with the Shastram, and both generally go hand in hand. Okay?
Okay.
If you have any other questions, we can discuss. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Vijay, go ahead.
Yeah. Just to add to what Raghavanji was saying. So is it correct to say that we do our karma or action with the same intensity that we would do if we were attached to the fruits of action, but do it without being attached to the fruit of action. Meaning the intensity and the commitment, dedication, all the words that we used, whether it's my own company that I am doing the work for or I am working for someone else, I do it with the same intensity. That's the attitude, right, we should have when we do any action. Is that right understanding?
Yeah, you're the commitment with which you do your actions, the seriousness with which you do your actions, all that remains the same, or may even improve. If your attitude improves, your seriousness also will improve, and you may do a better job also. In fact, you will, because you're not burdened by the thoughts of the future.
Fruits of the action is we are
less,
not
less the burden, better the productivity,
better
everything better. Yeah,
true.
so that's how it works. Yeah, Balaji. Balaji Venkatraman, welcome to. Are you there? Okay. He is not answering. Okay, Vaidyanath, go ahead.
Jaykumarji, namaste. I had a question about that word Vipashraya. So how do you break it, and what is the exact meaning of that? I mean, I know the English translation means it doesn't depend upon anybody, so it doesn't have to take ashraya of anything, right? So how do you break it?
So that's what I said. Vi purvaka, ap purvaka, ashraya. Okay, those are the two prefixes, which in this case does not change the meaning of the main meaning of the root, which is ashraya. Ashraya means support. Ashraya means support. And artha vyapashraya, support of anything. So vyapashraya means complete dependence. You can put it that way, because V is Visheshena. So dependence, here Swamiji says dependence. And so these prefixes will retain the meaning of the word ashraya. And I need to look at literally what that up does and then V does to that word. But it retains the meaning.
Okay.
Meaning means ashraya. So there is no ashraya on anything. That's the meaning here.
Okay. Because that kaschit comes.
Yeah, kaschit. Kaschit. So the kaschit artha. Any kind of support, any kind of dependence, that is the kaschit. There is no the person is not dependent on anything.
Yeah.
Kaschit. Asheshena, without any complete, totally free from dependence. That's the meaning. It is not, that means what? It is not like saying, oh, that person is leading a very simple life and a very small place and very few things, correct? That person is not dependent on many things. So relatively not dependent on many things. That person's life. Some example I'm giving. Okay, that is not what is being said here. Not relatively not dependent, completely independent ityarthaha. Correct? Complete dependence, not relative. Complete independence, not relative independence. Correct? That is the meaning. Na kaschit. That's why the kaschit. Na kaschit means not even a dash of dependence. Okay. That's why we said, okay, that does not refer to the body, etc. Because body does depend on certain things to survive. And so that nobody can, even a jnani cannot remove that dependence. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Vaidya?
Yes. So the V basically is like you said, nasha, vinasha. Vinasha means visheshena nasha. So it doesn't change the meaning of nasha. What does up do here?
I don't know. That's what I said. I need to look up the actual
Sorry. I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Yeah, I will
Okay. And why is the word artha here?
Artha. Artha is anything. Anything. Dependence on anything. Okay.
Okay.
So, and because Sarva Bhuteshu is there, the way Swami explains that is depends on any being for any object. So I depend on somebody to get something else. Okay. I want something, I depend on somebody to get something. So Bhuteshu there. Bhuteshu means things, people. People.
Yeah.
And Artha is a thing. Anything, any object is called
Okay.
an Artha
Okay.
Vyavasha. Yeah.
And then what you said was, it does not mean the body of the jnani does not need food or water or clothes. They will, or shelter, that all, it all needs it. But the jnani doesn't have a dependence on having those things.
Does not have dependence on anything in this world. There is no emotional dependence. Nothing can cause him sorrow. Things can cause pain,
Yeah.
but nothing can cause the person sorrow.
Right.
Pain will be there.
Yeah.
So we can't say I'm going to study Vedanta because I want to be free from pain. We can't say that because pain is not Ishvara. That is Ishvara. There is nothing you can do about pain. And maybe all this pain medicine and all, they're doing a lot of research. So maybe he or she becomes the person who helps me relieve myself from pain. But you need that. Pain is there. That's why the pain doctor is there, because pain is constantly going to be there. So sorrow, dukkha we are talking about. Dukkha means sorrow. No sorrow for that person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did see that in Puja Swamiji's own life, right? Several last few months, I would say, were a little painful for him.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen that.
Before that, had a lung surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we were sorrowful. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, Balaji, go ahead.
Yeah, I hope you can hear now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I restarted my laptop.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so I was coming to that point where Mohiniji was referring to about motive, intent, and grace. So
you're not. Your video is not on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can make it on. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. So motive, intent, and grace. I feel we say that I can take the horse to the stream, but the horse has to drink the water. But even to drink the water, I think it needs divine grace. So we need to recognize that the horse cannot drink the water if it intended to. Just intention alone is not enough, because I think at every action needs the grace of the Lord. So without the grace, I remember this, when we did integration in math, we had to write plus C. If we didn't write plus C, we used to lose marks. I remember that. So every answer needs grace, we met even Kalidasa, right? He turned from a person who totally ignorant to somebody who was a pandit.
There was no question of not having grace. Grace always I accept, but you cannot just say it is grace. I said Yogeshwara has to be there, Partha has to be there. Both have to be there to get
Both
Vijaya.
have to be there. Yes. Yeah.
There never was a question of Yogeshwara not being there in the equation. Yogeshwara has to be there. But with Yogeshwara, there has to be a Partha who has the bow and arrow and ready to act. Otherwise, Vijaya is not going to be there.
Correct. No, my point was intent to execute alone is not enough.
No, you have to have both.
Both. Yes.
A simple explanation is if you want to win a lottery, you need to buy a ticket. Otherwise, you won't get a lottery. So simple.
Yeah, but even the seed of the thought to buy the lottery has to be come through the Lord.
Yeah, that is there. But that action has to be there, right?
You have to have the grace. But just grace is not enough. There was a discussion going on saying that if you have grace or surrender, things will happen. That is needed because your ego cannot work just like that. Grace has to be there. There has to be action. When both of them come together, there is Vijaya. Even one is there, there is no Vijaya.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So it's important. This topic is not. It's important, obviously, because there is always that dichotomy. There's free will versus free will. Free will means what? I am in control. That is free will, right? And then I'm not in control. That is Ishvara. Two things are there. If I was always in control, I don't need Bhagavad Gita. Nothing is needed. So that is a thing. So yes. So but then free will is part of the order, and so for the free will to be used properly, also I must be prayerful. Just because I have free, everybody has free will. What can the people don't accomplish the same things? A lot of people are struggling, and they don't know, confused. So free will is there, but it is not being used or unable to be used. So even allow my free will to be to flower. Let that free will help me. Let the free will help me. Free will need not help me. Free will I can use the free will to hurt others. But no, I pray. So allow my free will to help me. Let it come in handy at the right time. That's my prayer. Correct? That's my prayer. And because I recognize I have free will, and without my actions, food doesn't go into my mouth, just like that. And when it comes to food, I am very smart. I actually cook the food and I eat the food, right? I don't simply go into the pujaram and open my mouth. And Ishvara, I am a big devotee of Krishna, and Krishna will put the food in my mouth. I don't see anybody saying that. I don't see anybody. When it comes to food and all that, these people are pretty smart. And then once the food is over, then cleaning up, then Ishvara will take care of the cleanup. Okay? These fellows are smart. And so we don't be prayerful and so yeah, that free will is important. Let me use my time properly. All these things are prayerful, because if I don't use my time properly, Krishna is not going to save me. And the next Janma is waiting, and another Janma is waiting. Krishna is helpless. He cannot do anything if I don't use my time properly. But if I am prayerful, hey, let me use my time properly. I have too many things going on, too many things. I've got used to multitasking so much that now my life is so fragmented. This is a problem for many people. You can't talk to them. There are people with whom I couldn't talk for 5 minutes because that person is constantly switching from one topic to another, and he's looking at the watch and this and that. And then I realized, okay, this person's mind is racing what to do next. So this what to do next spoils the person from doing this current job properly. So everywhere prayer is needed. Every step of the way we have to be prayerful. So Balaji, I think your point is well taken. Thanks. Good. So
Jaykumarji.
It's 8:23, Sundariji.
Okay. Next class I will ask. Next class I will ask.
Okay. So go ahead. Let's ask. Let's finish now that you already started speaking. Go ahead.
No, I come across two words. One is Krishna, another is Krishna. What is the meaning of the other word?
Karshati iti Krishna. The one who makes you joyful is Krishna. That is a literal meaning of the word Krishna. And Mr. Krishna, we know. Okay, Partha Sarathi ityadi. That Krishna. Kritsnam means completely.
Oh, okay.
Complete. It's a different word. It's not a noun. It means completely. Kritsnam. So, where does it word come? Jnanam removes punya and papa completely. Kritsnam. It just, jnana just dagda karmani. It just burns away all your karmas, past karmas. Only jnanam has the capacity to do that. Kritsnam. Kritsna karma. Krit, you may have heard of the word.
Yeah.
Krishna karma means what? Just in the 17th shloka or 18th we saw naiva tasya kritenarthaha. Correct?
Krishna.
For that person, nothing is there to be done. Nothing is there that you can say not to be done. Nothing is there like that. So that person is called a Krishna karma krit. One who has done all things that have to be done.
Okay.
Kritsnam. That's where the word Kritsnam is used.
Even in Rudram it comes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it also comes
Vitaya
to Krishnam Vyakaranam Proktam.
Ah.
Krishnam Vyakaranam Proktam. When we
There
say
also.
our
There also in that stoka
Yeah.
also. Krishnam
In
Vyakaranam
the
means
Rudram also
complete.
it comes. Krishna Vitaya Davate.
Krishna
Satvanamapate.
Krishna Vitaya Dhavate. What is the meaning of that? We will see that next class. Okay.
Okay.
Jacob, I also had one small question. We can take it up in the next class.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so in this verse number 19, there's a word Purushaha. So generally, I have heard the word Purushaha. Purushaha, is there some significance to that different spelling?
No, there is no significance. Purushaha eva Purushaha. So we will say that like that. There are some words where Dirgha and Hraswa both mean the same thing. So here it means person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanmantaraye Amrita Kalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Sri Mahavishnave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Sri Mahavishnave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha.
Thank you, Guruji.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಜಯಕುಮಾರ್ ಜಿ. ಗುಡ್ ನೈಟ್.